A very good evening. It's the 3rd of June 2023. Welcome to the primetime news here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Before we take a look at the stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines.
News First Headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Poson Poya, religious events held across the country. Sirasa TV celebrates Poson Poya, the historic Mintale sacred grounds. Sirasa Namami Poson Zone in Depanama. No single political party commands majority voter base despite cross-party collaboration in parliament, says the president. Protect the independence of the judiciary, a request from the opposition leader. The Broadcast Authority Bill must be defeated, says the Federation of Media Employees Trade Unions. Price of a domestic glitter gas cylinder to reduce from midnight tomorrow.
News First Headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Today is the Poson Full Moon Poya Day. Poson Poya Day is celebrated to mark the arrival of Buddhism in Sri Lanka in the 3rd century BC. Today, this festival of great historical and religious significance, the Mahindagamana, is celebrated for the 2331st time island-wide by Buddhists.
218 years after Lord Buddha attained Nirvana, the Third Buddhist Council took place with Indian Emperor Dharmashoka providing state patronage. As a result, Buddhism spread to 9 other countries. Thereafter, in 236 BC, on a day like today, during the reign of King Devanapiyatissa, Buddhism was introduced to Sri Lanka by Arahat Mahinda Thero and the monks who travelled to Sri Lanka from Damateva. As a result of this visit, a group led by Prince Aritta entered the Buddhist order. With the establishment of the Bhikkhu Sasana, all other elements of a civilized society began to emerge, with the art of writing, art, architecture, religious rituals in song and dance forms and literature, all with royal patronage.
The historic Mihintale sacred site was lit up for the Poson Poya this evening.
The Aloka Puja was held under the patronage of the Mahasangha, including the chief incumbent of the Mihintale Raja Mahaviharya, Venerable Dr. Valavahangunabave Dhammaratana Thera. Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shrevan Daniel, CEO of Sirasa TV, Attorney Susara Dinal, former Minister and former Test cricket captain Arjun Ranatunga, state officials and others were present for this occasion.
Arahat Mihindu arrived at this sacred site and preached the young King Tissa. There was a reason Arahat Mihindu preached the Dhamma to young King Tissa. Before King Tissa, Sri Lanka was ruled by the aged and frail King Mutasiva. Arahat Mihindu knew that preaching the Dhamma to such an old and frail king would be useless and the Dhamma would not be propagated properly across the country. And so, Arahat Mihindu waited patiently until Mutasiva passed on and the young King Tissa became king. This is why it is important for the young people of Sri Lanka to understand that they have a responsibility towards the Dhamma and the nation. It is the young and capable and not the frail and feeble that change the destiny of this island.
ඒ තරුණ ජවයෙන් හැකියාවෙන් ශක්්‍යතාවෙන් මේ උතුම් ධර්මය හරහා අපේ රට ලොවේ ඉදිරියටම රැගෙන යන්න උන්ට වගකීමක් තියෙනවා.
Buddhists across the country engaged in religious observances on Saturday to mark the Poson Full Moon Poya Day. Large groups of devotees visited many sacred sites in Mihintale, Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa. Meanwhile, the Sirasa TV celebrated the Poson Poya, centering the historic Mihintale sacred grounds, and the Damsavya Poson zone was held centering the Magastota Sri Senanada Adiramya temple in Norelia. The Shraddha Bhavandana at Kandaposon festival commenced in Kurunagala today with Sirasa TV as the official media sponsor. The Sirasa Namami Poson zone will be held centered around the Dipanama Broadcasting Centre.
All religious programs conducted at the Mihintale sacred site were broadcast live on Sirasa TV. Many special programs including puja ceremonies and discussions were held throughout the day.
මේ සියලු දේවල් අපි කරන්නේ බුද්ධ ශාසනය වෙනුවෙන්.
We are doing all this for the Buddha Sasana and to honor Arahat Mahinda. There are hundreds of people here and they are not expecting any facilities including water, electricity, dansal, toilets or transportation. Sri Lankan people of all religions including Buddhists, Christians, Hindus and Muslims climb these steps. This is a national event. Does anyone ask your religion when you climb these steps? People come from the north, south, east and west. Do they ask at Dansal? It was Arahat Mahinda that created the Dansal culture and the quality of generosity.
ජාතික උත්සවයක් මේක. මේ පියගැට පෙළ නගිනකොට අහනවද උඹේ ආගම මොකක්ද? උතුරෙන් දකුණෙන් නැගෙනහිරින් බටහිරින් එනවා. දන්සල් වලට යනකොට අහනවද? කවුද? මේ දන්සල් සංස්කෘතිය, බෝසත් ගුණය කවුද ඇති කරේ? මිහිඳු මහරහතන් වහන්සේ.
Poson Bhaktigi sessions, colourful lanterns and dansal were organised for tonight around Mihintale.
The Damsavya Poson zone commenced today centering the Magastota Sri Senananda Rama temple in Norelia. The devotees who visit the Poson zone will have the rare opportunity to pay homage to the Sarvajna relics until the 5th. The Sarvajna relic was brought to the Damsavya Poson zone from the Sri Paramananda temple in Gaul. This relic was gifted to Sri Lanka in the late 19th century from Siam or present-day Thailand. The Sarvajna relic was escorted to the Poson zone this morning in a Mihindu Perahara from Norelia. The Mihindu Perahara included many cultural items. The Sarvajna relic was installed in the Damsavya Poson zone by Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, S.C. Virasekara. Afterwards, offerings were made to the Sarvajna relic by devotees and the Mahasangha. A large number of devotees visited the Damsavya Poson zone to pay their respects to the Sarvajna relic. In line with the Damsavya Poson zone, several Poson cultural items, including a beautiful pandal near the Gregory Lake in Norelia, was also organized. Shraddha Hivandana at Khanda Poson Mangalya 2023 will commence at the Atkanda Raja Mahaviharya in Kurunagala on Saturday. Sirasa TV is the official media sponsor for the event. The relic was brought to the Atkanda Raja Mahaviharya in Kurunagala in a Perahara this evening. Devotees who visit the Poson zone will have the opportunity to pay reverence to the relic and witness several colorful Poson items until the 6th of June.
The Sirasa Namami Poson Zone commenced at the Department Broadcasting Centre today.
The Sirasa Namami Poson Zone features a replica of Mihintale, Poson lanterns, Bodu Sadahagi Saraniya program, dance salts and a digital pandal. The Sirasa Namami Poson Zone will continue tomorrow as well.
Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, āmi sumiccācārā vīramani.
Religious events were held in many parts of the island today, in line with the Poson Full Moon Poya Day. Pujas were held at Dharmayatan Vihara in Narahempita today under the patronage of the chief incumbent of the Vihara, Most Venerable Ulupane Sumangala Thero. A dancehall to provide food for animals was organized. Meanwhile, bicycles were distributed among 100 students of 8 main schools in Horana, and books were donated to 100 students at the Sri Sumangala Dhamma School in Olabudua, Rajamahavihara. The program was held with the financial support of the Assistant Director of the Shanti Community Animation Movement, Sujiva Ratnayaka, and with the coordination of Colonel Rohita Vithanage of the Sri Lankan Army. Meanwhile, a program organized by the Maharagama Youth Services Council was held this morning. It was held at the Maharagama Youth Services Council auditorium today. A Poson Bhaktiki session organized by the management of the Bandar Naik International Airport was held last evening at the airport premises. Meanwhile, the Sarvajna relics will be open to the public today and tomorrow at the Devanagala sacred site as well. News First correspondent said that the exhibition of relics was also held yesterday. A constructed Buddha statue at the Kuruvita Paragala Vihara was unveiled in line with the Poson Full Moon Poya Day today. This was under the patronage of the chief incumbent Thero, Venerable Pupurasse Nandaloka Thero. Meanwhile, a puja was also held at the historic Yudakanava Rajamahavihara today as well.
Meanwhile, many dance cells were organized in almost every part of the island today on the Poson Full Moon Poya Day. Various institutions, establishments, associations, companies, vendors and the general public organized dance cells. The Public Health Inspectors Union of Sri Lanka said that the number of dance cells registered for Poson this year was 17,180. A dance cell was organized at the Pinnaval Elephant Orphanage today. A dance cell to distribute vehicle parts was organized in Kotikumbura Galigamua. Motorcycles, three-wheelers and other vehicles that stopped at the dance cell were repaired. A dance cell was organized this evening at the Sri Sugatarama Temple, Ragama as well. A dance cell to distribute clothes was organized by local businessmen in Hirimbura, Gaul. Dansal were organised in other parts of the island throughout the day with the gathering of a large number of people.
News first with the people.
When a heart attack strikes, every minute makes the difference between life and death. With the right care and treatment at the hand of the most skilled surgeons and medical professionals. With the perfect environment for recovery. Darden's Heart Center, dedicated to you.
ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් කොයිද තියෙන්නේ? සුපර්මාකට් එකෙන් වගේ තෝරලා බේරලා ගැලපෙන ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක අරගන්න නම් මේ තියෙන ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් සුපර්මාකට් එක. ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එකක් ගන්නවා නම් ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක්ක කතා කරන්න. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් සුපර්මාකට් එක insurme.lk.
In more local news, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says, despite all political parties in Parliament being ununited, none of them have a 50% voter base in the country at the moment. The President further said everyone should unite, not for an election, but to rescue the country from the economic crisis.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed these views while addressing the 2023-24 National Law Conference held in Nuwara yesterday.
Unprecedented scenarios.
The President also pointed out that the majority of the people, including the youth, have lost faith in elections and politics. Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Kaushalya Navaratna, and others attended the event.
If you look at the political situation today, it's unheard of. President with one member in parliament, running with a parliament which is working together, and there are many members who are crossbenchers. But nevertheless, what is dangerous to me is that this is a parliament which hasn't got political parties with the political structures going down. There are political fronts with different people which are cracked up. And if you ask me today, there are many in parliament who disagree with me, but all the political parties put together in Sri Lanka don't have more than 50% of the voter base supporting them. This is in a country which was highly politicized, and your numbers could go up to even 70%, leaving 10% to decide your fate. That's what it is. Some are happy at the present economic situation, thinking we are out of the woods. No. We are not out of the crisis that came last. The economic stabilization has just taking place. We get off it when the debt restructuring is done, both the foreign debt and the domestic debt.
That was President Ranil Wickremesinghe. He said even if all political parties in Parliament unite, none of them will have a 50% voter base in the country at the moment. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa expressed the following views at a meeting held in Modi village in Tissamarahama yesterday.
Today, word is spreading on social media that the President and the judges are meeting and having meals together. I don't know whether it is the truth. I hope that this is false. If this information is true, this is a serious matter. We must consider the independence of the judiciary. The justice process should happen, and the manner in which it happens must be informed to the public. At one point during my father's presidency, he received an invitation to an event where the then Chief Justice had also been invited to participate. But during that time, a presidential election petition against my father was being heard in the Supreme Court. Therefore, my father did not participate in the event on the grounds that it was against ethics, against democracy to join the ceremony together with the Chief Justice. If something like this happens today, it is a serious challenge in governing with the expectations of 22 million people in this country. The judges of the judiciary are helpless in this case. A number of very important cases have gone to court today and are being heard. In the future, the court has to deliver judgments in these cases, especially the local government election. If meetings such as these are taking place, I would like to tell the President to please refrain from such meetings in order to safeguard tradition. Do not put the court and the judges in an uncomfortable position.
Attorney Sunil Watagala says if there is no real representation of people in Parliament, an election should be held.
The current situation in Parliament is disastrous. Ranil Wickremesinghe has no mandate of the people to be in his seat. Serious anti-democratic sentiments, serious unethical statements are being made. What are they asking now? To keep Ranil Wickremesinghe without a mandate. He says that there is the opportunity to take forward a Parliament that has no mandate of the people because he wants to rebuild the economy. I would like to say that statements such as these will only bring the people away from politics. We asked Ranil Wickremesinghe there is no mandate of the people and it is time for the people's franchise to be exercised. If there is no mandate of the people, what should be done is not to take the Parliament forward but to convene a parliamentary election and to exercise the franchise of the people.
The Federation of Media Employees Trade Unions emphasizes that the current government's proposal regarding the Broadcasting Authority Bill should be defeated.
In a statement, Federation of Media Employees Trade Union says that the proposal for the Broadcasting Regulatory Authority is a proposal brought to deter the basic rights of the people to be informed of the truth in the face of the economic and political crises in the country. The Federation of Media Employees Trade Unions outlined several propositions. Government cooperation to strengthen the objectives of the Sri Lanka Press Institute and Press Complaints Commission of Sri Lanka, the abolition of the Sri Lanka Press Council. The Federation of Media Employees Trade Union says that the government should provide facilities to begin an open dialogue regarding the protection of journalists. They added that the support of media organizations, civil organizations and international media organizations should be obtained in this regard as well.
Various views were expressed in the political arena regarding the proposed Broadcasting Regulatory Commission, which would have the authority to imprison journalists, impose fines on journalists and revoke electronic media licenses.
If we say something, they'll take both of us in. They are trying to silence media through laws in future. This will affect not only heads of media institutions, but the employees, journalists and other contributors as well. The government is trying to silence everyone through a dictatorial rule. In the past, Hitler attacked all sectors systematically, including media, intellects and businessmen.
The Broadcasting Authority Bill is being introduced to set up a fence against future harmful acts. Many attempts to publicize mudslinging and lies.
If there is realistic media freedom in this country, there will be a public uprising. The government has understood that if so, they are nailing their own coffins and introduced the Broadcasting Authority Bill to silence journalists. If those who came up with the help of journalists are now trying to silence and punish journalists, the Freedom People's Congress will oppose this and stand up for journalists. Not just media, today there is no freedom of expression in society as well. They are trying to introduce an act to control media in such a situation. This is an attempt to bury media freedom. They cannot stand criticism. Media freedom, which is accepted internationally, should be obtained.
Long queues were observed near some filling stations today as well.
Owners of some filling stations failing to store fuel has led to the fuel shortage following the fuel price revision. As a result, long queues were observed at some filling stations. This was the situation at filling stations in Maharagama, Pannipitiya and Borales Gamuwa. Long queues were also seen at filling stations in Akuressa. This was the queue at the Sipetco filling station in Madampe. Long queues were seen at the Sipetco filling station in Delgoda, although it received fuel. This was the situation at filling stations in Galle today.
Ranil Wickremesinghe reduced the price of the dollar. Instead of changing the dollar rate, put a stop to the queues. There is no use of giving it free of charge like this.
Queues were seen at some filling stations in Kandy this morning as fuel stocks had run out.
We get fed up of Sri Lanka when a day like today is ruined. We feel sorry for ourselves.
This was a long queue seen at the filling station in Sandunpura, Dehiyatta this morning. The Petroleum Private Tanker Owners Association said congestion in the Western Province has reduced.
The congestion in the Western Province has reduced by 90%. 300 to 450 tankers are operating across the island. Around 125 Lanka IOC tankers are also in operation. Filling stations across the island are due to receive fuel reserves today. If there was congestion outstation, it will reduce by noon today. This issue may arise in the Anuradhapura district, and a large number of tankers distributed fuel to the district yesterday.
Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara said the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited will continue to distribute fuel today and tomorrow. He said CPC fuel stations are required to maintain a minimum stock of 50%. He added licenses of fuel stations that have violated the conditions of their contracts will be terminated after reviewing.
A Bengal tiger living at the Ridhyagama Safari Park has died without causation.
The Department of National Zoological Gardens said an 8-year-old tiger at the park had died. The department said body parts of the dead tiger were sent to laboratories following the post-mortem examination to find out the exact cause of the death. 5 Bengal tigers were living at the Ridhyagama Safari Park, of which only 4 are left at present.
Sri Lanka was elected as a Vice President of the 78th United Nations General Assembly on Friday.
In accordance with paragraph 2 and 3 of the Annex to Resolution 33/138 of 19th of December 1978, the 21 Vice Presidents of the General Assembly at its 78th session shall be elected according to the following pattern: 6 representatives from the African states, 5 representatives from the Asia Pacific states, 1 representative from the Eastern European states, 2 representatives from Latin American and Caribbean states, 2 representatives from the Western European and other states, and 5 representatives from the permanent members of the Security Council. I shall now read the names of the slates of candidates. Asia Pacific states: Islamic Republic of Iran, Malaysia, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Uzbekistan. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the states which have been elected the Vice Presidents of the General Assembly at its 78th session.
The Sri Lankan Embassy in Bahrain organized an event to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the Sri Lanka Mission in Bahrain on the 30th of May 2023. During the event, Ambassador Wijeratna Mendes conveyed gratitude to the government and the people of Bahrain for their goodwill and support extended to both the embassy and the Sri Lankan community living in Bahrain over the past decade.
The ambassador stated that she is confident the growing momentum in the bilateral relations will continue to flourish in the years to come. Ambassador also expressed her sincere gratitude to the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, Foreign Minister MUM Ali Sabri for their goodwill and support extended to the embassy as well as to the Sri Lankan community in Bahrain. She also conveyed her gratitude to the Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, Manusha Nanayakara, Chairman of the Bureau of Foreign Employment, and the staff for their continued support and cooperation for the embassy's work. Concluding her remarks, Ambassador appreciated the contributions made by the Foreign Secretaries, Foreign Ministry staff, her predecessors, and all staff served in the mission in achieving significant milestones in its relations with the Kingdom of Bahrain.
In an interview with an Indian journalist, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to India, Milinda Morogoda, expressed the following views regarding the geopolitical situation with regards to China, India and Sri Lanka.
Your foreign minister met with the Indian foreign minister. There was the furor over the Chinese spy ship at the Hambantota port. If you look at the data, I was just looking at it before this interview, 12% of Sri Lanka's external debt is towards the Chinese. So I know your job as a diplomat is to say, look, don't look there. But Indians will look there. It's the geopolitical reality. And to that you would say what?
No, you need to look there. There is, I think we shouldn't ignore that. Basically, China has been an investor in Sri Lanka. If you look at our modern history with China, during the war period, India could not help us during the war because of obvious reasons, internal reasons. India, towards the latter part, helped us with intelligence, but could not help us with weapons. So we have built a relationship with China in that way. We have had a long relationship with China. And at that time, during the Cold War period, the paradigm was also different. India was basically, with China, the relationship was different. And in fact, at one stage in the 1980s, people thought that we were too close to the United States because our then president was he was called Yankee Dickey, President Jayawardena. And there were tensions with India as a consequence of that geopolitical.
The death toll from the collision of two Indian passenger trains in Odisha state has surged to more than 280 and more than 1,000 people have reported to be injured, making this the rail accident in the country's deadliest in more than 2 decades. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has conveyed his heartfelt condolences to the Prime Minister and the people of India following the tragic multiple train collision in Odisha state. The accident has resulted in a significant loss of lives and numerous injuries, the President said. Meanwhile, the Chinese President Xi Jinping had also sent separate messages of condolences to the Indian President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well.
Between 10 and 12 carriages of one train derailed and debris fell on a nearby track. The debris was hit by another train coming from the opposite direction, and up to 3 carriages from that train also derailed. The Director General of Odisha Fire Services said that rescue work is still going on and there were a lot of serious injuries. Chief Secretary of Odisha said over 200 ambulances had been called to the scene of Friday's accident in Odisha's Balasore district, and 100 additional doctors on top of 80 already there had been mobilized. It is believed that several carriages from the Shalimar-Chennai Coromandel Express derailed at about 1900 local time, with some of them ending up on the opposite track. Another train, the Howrah Superfast Express travelling from Yeswantpur to Howrah, is then thought to have hit the overturned carriages. Indian officials said that a goods train which was stationary at the site was also involved in the incident. They provided no further details. Some surviving passengers were seen rushing in to help rescue those trapped in the wreckage. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he was distressed by the incident and his thoughts were with the bereaved families. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today visited the train accident site in Odisha's Balasore. India has one of the largest train networks in the world, and accidents are common despite successive governments investing hundreds of millions of dollars to improve the infrastructure.
Litrogas says that the price of domestic gas cylinders will be reduced from midnight tomorrow.
Its chairman Mudita Piri says that the price of a 12.5 kilogram domestic gas cylinder will be reduced from more than 300 rupees. Relatively, the prices of 5 kilograms and 2.5 kilogram cylinders will also be reduced. The chairman said that the official price revision notice will be released tomorrow.
A 52-year-old suspect, a resident of Karadipual area, was apprehended by officers from the Police Special Task Force in a raid conducted yesterday.
The raid supervised by SSP Nishad Fernando resulted in the confiscation of 12 bore-live ammunition and unauthorized police uniforms. The seized items included the 2 bore-live ammunition, 11 sleeved police shirts, 1 long-sleeve police shirt and 7 pairs of police trousers. The suspect was handed over to Vanathavillu police station for further investigation.
Top social media influencer Khalid Al-Ameri is currently in Sri Lanka. He will be in the island from the 2nd to the 5th of June.
You guys came through. We're just going to get right into it. Here we go. First question here.
Khalid Al-Ameri, an Emirati blogger, is most known for his YouTube content alongside his wife Salama Mohammed. He also creates content for various other platforms with the aim of giving his audience a jolly good time as well as motivating them. Khalid Al-Ameri has over 13 million people watching his content on his channels. His visit to Sri Lanka is important as he portrays a uniqueness of the places or country he visits. Khalid was featured in the 2020 list of 100 most powerful Arabs by Gulf Business, as well as being the first social media personality to be awarded a Dubai Star in the Downtown Dubai Walk of Fame.
The afternoon Sambuddha Puja, which is organized every Poya day at the Sri Shakya Malake opposite the Capital Maharaja Group head office, was held this morning as well.
It was organized by the Maharaja Institute of Management for Electronic Media Studies. Sunil Kanoja, Group Director and CEO of the Capital Maharaja Group, and others were present for this event. After the puja, Bhakti Gee was performed with the participation of students of the Maharaja Institute of Management for Electronic Media Studies.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Primetime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I've been Senita Sena Nayaka. Take care and stay safe.